Have you ever found yourself in a situation that shifted, went from totally normal to, well, terrifying in just an instant?
Yeah.
Where those familial boundaries of safety just dissolved and you're left questioning reality itself?
It happens. More than we think.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we immerse ourselves in your sources, articles, research, maybe even your own notes.
Right.
And we pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights. Think of it like your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed.
With, hopefully, some surprising facts.
And just enough humor, maybe, to keep you hooked. Today, we're plunging into a series of recounted experiences, personal narratives that really defy easy explanation.
These aren't just ghost stories or anything.
No, not at all. They're more like windows into moments where the ordinary became deeply unsettling, sometimes horrifying, and across all sorts of environments.
From places you'd maybe expect trouble.
Exactly, like the eerie quiet of forgotten places where, adventure turns into desperation, but also into the most intimate, trusted environments, places like hospitals, clinics, where care and vulnerability, they should be sacrosanct.
But sometimes aren't.
These are the kind of stories that really stick with you, the ones that remind you just how fast things can flip from calm to deeply unsettling.
And how vulnerable we can all be, really, when we least expect it.
Right.
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is how these seemingly separate incidents told by different people, they reveal these common threads.
Right.
We're talking about universal themes. Human vulnerability, for one, the completely unpredictable nature of threats.
Right.
And the profound psychological aftermath, how it often just redefines a person's whole sense of safety in the world.
So our mission today?
Well, our mission is to look not just at what happened in these accounts, but why it was so impactful. Why did it hit so hard?
Okay.
What do these stories tell us about navigating unexpected danger? Or the insidious nature of boundary violations?
Things you don't always see coming.
Exactly. And the incredible resilience, sometimes, but also sometimes the shattering of the human psyche when it's confronted with something truly unthinkable. Each story sort of peels back another layer of perceived safety. It forces us, really, to confront these unsettling realities that can lurk just beneath the surface of everyday life.
That's our journey for today. So let's unpack this and dive right into the first of these incredible accounts.
Okay.
We start with a story that takes us deep into the thrill. Yeah, but then the stark terror of urban exploration gone terribly, terribly wrong. So imagine this. A film student, really passionate about horror movies.
Right.
Always hunting with friends for the perfect, most authentically eerie backdrop for their next project.
Looking for that atmosphere.
Exactly. For them, abandoned hospitals, decaying asylums, crumbling old houses, they aren't just derelict buildings.
No, they're sets.
They're playgrounds, they're canvas. There's this almost magnetic pull to what they call the decayed, forgotten atmosphere. It just inherently screams horror for their films.
You can see the appeal visually.
Totally. And on this particular night, their target was an old, sprawling, abandoned hospital not far from their college. Friends had already scouted it out. Their reports were glowing, ideal, creepy, dark, full of potential, the perfect mix of spooky aesthetic and that thrilling uncertainty.
It's almost a classic horror movie setup, isn't it?
It really is.
The group of friends seeking a thrill in some dilapidated, forgotten place. There's an inherent risk, obviously, in urban exploration, or urbex, as they call it. But often that perceived danger is part of the appeal, right? It's a manufactured fear. Thrilling, precisely because it feels, initially anyway, within a controlled boundary you set yourself.
Like watching a scary movie versus
living one, exactly. And the line between those two can be frighteningly thin.
Yeah, absolutely. So our narrator, armed with a DSLR camera, an LED light for the darkness.
Standard gear for this kind of thing.
Right. Leading the way, they're heading down this narrow, overgrown path, foliage thick all around like a tunnel. And that's when it started. For them, anyway, not for the rest of the group, who were still chatting, laughing, buzzing with energy, totally oblivious.
Right. Lost in the moment.
But for the narrator, this distinct sense of unease just began to settle in, creeping up their spine. The air felt different. A profound stillness, an unnatural quiet. The wind, which should have been rustling the leaves, it barely stirred the trees.
That too quiet feeling.
Exactly. Quiet, too quiet. A real undeniable gut feeling that something wasn't right. That primal alarm bell just ringing softly in the back of their mind.
And that intuition, That's incredibly significant. It's often our first line of defense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those subtle signals our body and mind pick up way before our conscious brain can even articulate the threat. It's that primal sense of something being profoundly off.
An early warning.
Exactly. An early warning system that, honestly, a lot of us learn to dismiss these days. But in high-stress situations, tuning into those internal cues, it can literally save your life, as we'll probably see again in these stories.
And that gut feeling, it only got stronger. The path led them to a dead end, crumbling walls blocking the way.
Okay.
The original plan was to climb onto the roof, find a broken window, get inside that way. But the narrator, carrying the camera gear, was looking for an easier route.
Makes sense.
And that's when their LED lights swept across the ground and revealed these unsettling details. Old clothes scattered around but looking worn, like lived in.
Not just trash.
No. Then mismatched shoes tossed aside, and a dirty, tattered sleeping bag.
Oh, wow.
And the chilling realization just hit them. Someone had been living here, maybe still was. Their gut twisted. This wasn't just abandoned, it was someone's home.
And that's a critical psychological shift right there.
Huge.
The environment instantly transforms. It goes from being just creepy or abandoned, a backdrop for pretend fear, to a space that's occupied by an unknown, potentially hostile human presence.
Yeah.
The whole concept of territoriality just slams into focus. The perceived risk skyrockets from, maybe falling through a floorboard to a potential, very real human confrontation.
The game changes.
Completely. The rules of engagement change entirely. What was an adventure is now an intrusion.
And that intrusion quickly led to contact. One of the friends, Jake, always the curious, impatient one, apparently spotted this closed, rusted, peeling door. Every instinct in the narrator screamed, "Leave it alone, back away." But Jake, maybe fueled by adrenaline or just recklessness, he pulls hard on the handle. It doesn't just open, it cracks, revealing a makeshift lock, a shirt tied around the inside handle, clear sign of occupancy.
Right, obvious sign.
Before the narrator could even shout a warning, Jake just yanks decisively, rips the shirt off, swings the door wide open with this loud metallic screech, and the narrator's LED light floods this small, dark room. What they saw made their blood freeze. Inside, a man, maybe 40s or 50s, lying on a makeshift bed, jolted awake by the noise and light. Around him, on crates, broken chairs, sat 3 more people, all turning slowly, faces hidden in shadow. But their eyes weren't. The narrator described them as cold, dark eyes that stared right through me. No warmth, no recognition, just staring.
Chilling.
For a terrifying second, the world stopped. Then Jake, finally getting it, screams, "Oh no, get out of here." He slams the door shut with this huge clang and just bolts down the path.
Pure panic.
The narrator, initially frozen, paralyzed, then just runs, heart pounding, adrenaline flooding their system. As they fled, they could hear that same door creaking open again behind them, ominously.
That immediate reaction, the freeze, then the flight, that's classic survival instinct. When you're hit with sudden, profound threat, the brain's fear center, the amygdala, it just bypasses higher thinking, triggers these primal responses.
Right.
The shift from abstract thrill to genuine terror is instantaneous when you're face-to-face with an unknown, possibly hostile human presence.
Right.
And that description, the cold, dark eyes,
Yeah, that stuck with me.
it's particularly chilling. It signifies this profound lack of human connection, of empathy, an immediate marker of deep, unmitigated threat. It's the absence of readable human emotion that's paradoxically so terrifying. It violates our basic expectation of empathy, even from an aggressor.
So they regrouped with the rest of the friends up on the roof, who were still pretty calm, actually, still hadn't grasped the danger Jake and the narrator just faced.
Still in adventure mode.
Totally. The narrator's frantically trying to explain, but before they can really get the words out, this chilling sound cuts through the air.
What was it?
A metallic scraping sound like nails on a chalkboard, vibrating with this deliberate malevolence.
Oh, that's awful.
The narrator spins around, and there he is. A man, mid-20s, tall, muscular, emerging from the entrance they just used, and he's dragging a baseball bat.
Okay, that's bad.
But wait, not just any bat. This one had nails hammered into the end, sticking out like spikes.
Oh my God. Like something out of a nightmare.
Seriously. A weapon designed purely for maximum damage, maximum terror. And his face. The narrator described it as cold, emotionless, like he'd done this 100 times before.
No anger, just blank.
Blank. Tall, powerfully built, and his eyes, dead, completely devoid of any life.
Wow.
The narrator's thought was immediate, visceral, bypassing rational thought. This was someone who had killed before, someone who wouldn't hesitate to do it again.
That level of calm is terrifying.
It amplified the terror, the precision of his movements, the lack of any visible anger, just cold intent.
So this is where that initial subversion of expectation is complete. It just gives way to pure, unmitigated terror.
Absolutely.
The thrill of urbex is fully morphed into a raw, desperate survival situation. The difference between the manufactured horror they wanted for their films and genuine life-threatening fear is now brutally apparent. The assailant's presence, that explicit weapon, and especially that calm, emotionless demeanor, it projects this almost clinical, absolute danger.
Well, he wasn't even human.
Right. This isn't about an accidental encounter anymore. It's a clear, deliberate display of power and threat. And that level of calculated menace, without obvious rage or chaos, is often far more terrifying. It suggests a complete cold-blooded intent and a profound lack of empathy, almost psychopathic traits. It tells you this person sees you not as a human, but as an object, an obstacle.
And the man didn't just stand there looking menacing, he spoke.
What did he say?
His voice was calm, almost too calm. The kind of tone that sends a deep chill right down your spine. He said, "You're going to want to keep that light off."
A command.
Totally. The narrator instinctively immediately turned off the LED, plunging them further into the dim, moonlit shatters. Handshaking uncontrollably, moonlight was their only light now.
Making them feel even more vulnerable.
And the man started circling them, that spiked bat scraping against the concrete with every dragging step, a sound the narrator said made them want to scream.
Psychological torture.
Then he asked, "You're never going to come back here again, right?" But again the narrator said, it wasn't a question, it was a command.
Testing their obedience.
They were all too terrified to speak, just frozen. The narrator instinctively reached for a pocket knife, knew it was useless, but...
Something. Anything.
Yeah, useless against this guy, and who knew who else was inside. His gaze then landed on the camera hanging from the narrator's shoulder. Put that stupid camera away. His voice turned even colder, more dismissive. It was all about asserting absolute control, stripping them of anything that symbolized why they were there or any perceived power they had.
The assailant's tactics here, the specific items, the bat, the command to turn off the light, and his controlled, almost ritualistic movements. They're all calculated threat displays, designed purely to establish dominance and instill terror. Turning off the light isolates them further, makes them feel even more helpless in the darkness. This person isn't just threatening, they are actively controlling the encounter, orchestrating their victim's fear.
It's pure intimidation.
A masterclass in it. Nonverbal and verbal. Every single action designed to strip them of agency, leave them feeling utterly disempowered.
Then came the ultimate command, a test of their obedience, their courage. He pointed to the rest of the friends huddled on the roof.
Oh, and
Jump.
Jump where?
There was a significant gap between the roofs. Not huge, the narrator said, but big enough that if you didn't make the jump, you'd fall several stories.
Jesus.
One friend, Mike, his voice trembling, whispered, "I don't think I can make it."
I wouldn't think I could either.
The man's voice dropped even lower. A low, dangerous growl that just cut through the night. You either run and jump or you're going to regret it.
A direct threat, life or death.
One by one, propelled by sheer terror, primal instinct, they ran and they jumped, scrambling onto the other roof, barely making it in the dim light.
Wow. I can't even imagine that forced jump. It's a profound act of control, a brutal test of their obedience under extreme duress. It's a physical manifestation of his absolute power over them, pushing them right to the edge, literally and psychologically. It's designed to induce not just fear, but total helplessness, forcing them into this desperate, immediate action where the stakes are incredibly high.
Life or death.
And those dead eyes, that calm demeanor, it leaves such a lasting scar because it signifies that complete lack of empathy, that willingness to inflict harm. A total disconnect from normal human responses that's just deeply terrifying. Adrenaline and instinct are everything here. They had no choice but to obey, flee, their basic survival systems screaming for escape, overriding any rational thought of fighting back.
Pure fight or flight.
Exactly. Pure, unadulterated fight or flight in action.
When the last friend made it across, the man turned his unwavering gaze back to the narrator.
Just the narrator left.
The narrator and Jake, the one who opened the door, he looked at the narrator. "You're never coming back here again, you understand."
A final, chilling statement of dominance.
Message received, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. They didn't need telling twice. They bolted. running faster than I've ever run in my life, adrenaline pumping, lungs burning.
Then look back.
The narrator glanced back once. The man was still standing there, unmoving, watching them. Spiked bat resting casually on his shoulder, a silent, menacing sentinel.
Just watching them go.
They didn't stop, didn't pause until they reached their cars, sped off, left that haunted hospital far behind. The narrator just couldn't shake the feeling. If they had stayed even a minute longer, things could have gone very differently.
Probably right.
This guy, with his calm and his weapon, wasn't just bluffing, he was genuinely dangerous, utterly remorseless. They knew deep down they were incredibly lucky to get out.
Yeah.
That hospital, permanently off the list. Its allure totally replaced by deep dread. And the image of him dragging that bat, nails scraping, those cold, dead eyes.
That's going to stick.
It will haunt the narrator for a long, long time.
This experience just profoundly illustrates how fast perceived risk can morph into immediate, life-threatening danger. Especially when a place you think is abandoned isn't, and the occupants are hostile.
Right.
It strips away any romantic ideas about danger, replacing them with raw, visceral fear that just imprints itself.
Yeah.
It also raises a tough question for us and for you listening.
Mm-hmm.
In situations where you've knowingly entered a potentially dangerous space, how do you really assess when perceived risk shifts to immediate life-threatening danger?
What are the signs?
What are those cues? And what does it mean to encounter that level of calm, calculated menace that suggests a complete lack of empathy? A threat that operates outside normal human interaction.
It's sobering.
It is a sobering reminder that not all threats announce themselves loudly. Sometimes the most dangerous ones arrive with a terrifying stillness.
That first story, wow. It really shows how the thrill of the unknown can just devolve into primal terror when things go sideways. Makes you really think about that line between adventure and actual peril. But what happens when the unsettling comes not from seeking thrills, but in a setting where you're already vulnerable? A place you expect to be safe, like right outside a hospital.
A very different context.
Completely. Let's shift to a different kind of unsettling experience. The setting seems much safer just outside a hospital, but the vulnerability is just as real, maybe even more so.
Okay.
This account takes us to late December 2018, around 3:00 a.m., pitch black, freezing cold.
Middle of the night.
Yeah. Our narrator, a male, was utterly exhausted. He'd been in and out of the hospital 8 times recently for a recurring testicular torsion issue. Just brutal.
Oh, that's incredibly painful and stressful.
Right. He'd been away from home 36 hours, running on absolute fumes, body and mind screaming for rest. And now he's freezing, bundled up on a bench near a little garden in front of the hospital.
Waiting for a ride.
Waiting for a taxi, still 30 or 40 minutes away. Desperately trying to stay awake, fighting exhaustion, fighting the biting cold. The city around him was eerily quiet. Hospital lights flickering, casting these long dancing shadows that made everything look weird. He just wanted to go home. Sleep.
And this exhaustion, this physical and mental state, it's crucial here. It cannot be overstated.
Why is that?
Because it significantly heightened his vulnerability. When our cognitive resources are shot, when we're sleep deprived, physically uncomfortable, our judgment gets clouded, reaction time slow. Our ability to assess and react effectively to unexpected threats is profoundly diminished.
Makes sense.
And a public space, even a seemingly safe one like a hospital entrance, can become incredibly isolating in the dead of night. It turns into an environment where predators might specifically seek out vulnerable targets.
Yeah.
His reduced capacity made any unexpected encounter exponentially more dangerous.
And then, out of the corner of his eye, he sees someone approaching. Didn't think much of it at first, just another person out late. But as they got closer, he realized this person was heading straight for him, almost unnervingly direct. The man's steps were unsteady, swaying erratically, clearly drunk, stumbling towards him in the cold.
Okay, potential trouble.
The narrator, sensing the direct approach, pulled off his headphones just as the man reached him, stopped dead in front, eyes locked in this unnerving stare. In a low, slurred voice, the man finally speaks.
I could batter you right now.
Just like that, out of nowhere.
Just like that, of all things. His brain scrambled, trying to process the sudden aggression, the bizarre directness.
What do you do?
In a moment of quick, instinctive thinking, maybe panic, he blurted out, I don't doubt it.
Trying humor.
Yeah, an attempt to disarm him with humor. A risky move, hoping to avoid making things worse. But the tension in the freezing air was thick, palpable.
Did it work?
Not immediately. The man kept repeating variations of the threat, voice getting louder, more insistent. I could batter you, or I want to deck you right now, like a broken record. An unsettling mantra.
That snap decision, though, that quick-witted, risky attempt at humor. Yeah.
It might have been the crucial thing that prevented a physical fight. It unexpectedly shifted the dynamic. Maybe disoriented the aggressor who was expecting fear or argument, or for him to run.
To be.
It highlights the profound unpredictability of human behavior, especially when someone's under the influence. An interaction can just veer wildly from aggression to rambling, and then, as we're about to see, to something completely bizarre and disturbing. Assessing real intent in these volatile situations is incredibly hard. The aggressor's logic, if there is any, is totally absurd.
So after what felt like forever, the man's anger seemed to just fizzle out, deflated into this strange calm. He stumbled forward and, surprise, sat down right next to the narrator on the bench.
Okay, shifting tone.
Big time, he started rambling. Disjointed, incoherent monologue about friends, family, none of it making much sense. But amidst the jumble, one detail stood out, starkly bizarre in its clarity.
What was it?
The man confessed to having an affair with his best friend's girlfriend.
Whoa, oversharing much.
Right. And then, like it was scripted by someone truly strange, he points at the narrator's feet, specifically his shoes. Those are nice, mate. Can I have them?
Can he have them?
Yeah. The narrator let out this nervous chuckle, trying to inject some normalcy, and said firmly, no thanks. But the man wasn't done. His eyes were fixed on the shoes, this unsettling intensity. Can I touch them?
Okay, red flag is going way up now.
Immediately. Something was definitely off, way more than just being drunk. This was veering into deeply disturbing territory.
This is exactly where the encounter goes beyond mere aggression and becomes profoundly unsettling, profoundly violating.
Yeah.
That specific, bizarre request, touching the shoes, right after the strange, intimate confession. It signals a deeply disturbed, unpredictable person. It's a clear boundary probe, a test of the narrator's resistance, setting the stage for more violation.
Testing the waters.
Exactly. And assessing intent here is almost impossible. Yeah. Is it a weird fetish? Is he planning to steal them? Is it psychosis? The lines of normal social interaction are completely blurred, leaving the victim in this state of cognitive dissonance, trying to reconcile the absurd with the threatening.
And then, before the narrator could even really process the request or figure out what to say, the man moved.
Oh no.
Reached down, surprisingly quick despite being unsteady before, and started rubbing the narrator's shoe. Without permission,
just touched it.
The narrator tensed up, about to pull away instinctively, when in one swift, terrifying motion, the man grabbed my ankle. His grip was firm, almost painfully tight, and before the narrator knew what was happening,
what?
The man yanked my leg up toward his face.
What happened next left the narrator frozen in disbelief.
Don't tell me. He shoved the toe of my Converse into his mouth.
What? Into his mouth?
Yep.
The narrator just sat there, utterly paralyzed, mind racing, trying to make sense of this deeply bizarre, profoundly violating act. Scanning frantically for help, for anyone, thoughts a chaotic blur of confusion, disgust, rising panic. The guy's grip was strong, unyielding. The whole thing had gone from threatening to this deeply weird, nightmarish territory that felt completely unreal.
That shoe incident. It's an extreme and intimate violation of personal boundaries, of physical space.
Totally.
It's not just physical, it's deeply psychological, shocking in its unexpectedness, its sheer absurdity. And that paralysis the narrator described, that's a very common human response to such profound violations, especially when it's so far outside normal experience.
The brain just shorts out.
Kind of. The brain struggles to process something so alien, so outside its learned scripts for behavior. Often results in that temporary freeze response where action becomes impossible. This type of non-legible threat, where the actions are baffling rather than straightforward, can be even more disorienting and traumatic. Just as the narrator was wrestling with this surreal violation, like magic, a hospital security officer started walking over, probably saw a weird scene on the bench.
Thank goodness.
A wave of relief, immediate and powerful, washed over the narrator, made direct eye contact with the officer right away. The officer, looking confused, asked, "You two together?"
What does they say?
Before the narrator could answer, the man still holding the shoe to his mouth mumbled, "Yeah, we are."
What? No.
The narrator quickly jumped in, voice firm, clear. "No, we're not." The officer looked between them, brow furrowed, obviously baffled, and asked if the narrator was okay. Narrator nodded quickly, desperate to get out of this. The officer, sensing the profound weirdness and the narrator's discomfort, wisely told the man to move along. Finally, reluctantly, the man finally let go of the narrator's leg, stood up, and bizarrely extended his hand.
You're kidding.
Nope.
Okay.
Shook my hand like we just had a pleasant conversation. An almost comical act of social convention after that. Then he staggered off into the pre-dawn gloom.
Wow. Just wow.
The officer stayed, checked on the narrator, clearly baffled himself. Narrator recounted the story, still trying to process the sheer absurdity and violation. Later, friends heard the story, suggested maybe crystal meth, some bizarre fetish, trying to rationalize the deeply irrational.
So what does this mean for us? This story is a powerful, disturbing reminder that danger doesn't just hide in dark alleys or abandoned buildings.
No.
Sometimes it shows up in the most mundane public settings. From someone who might initially seem harmless or just drunk, but whose intentions and actions are anything but. The lasting memory, the feeling of his grip, the utter weirdness of the shoe thing. These details speak to the deep, lingering psychological impact of such an unexpected, unsettling violation. It leaves you uneasy about the world, cracks your sense of safety.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights how crucial it is to trust your instincts, even when you're exhausted, disoriented, or just trying to be polite and de-escalate like he was. It raises a tough question. How do we respond to threats that aren't immediately readable, that don't fit our usual danger categories, that cross into the absurd but are still deeply violating?
Yeah, what's the playbook for that?
Exactly. What you do mentally, physically, when the normal rules of interaction completely break down, and you're faced with something terrifying and utterly incomprehensible. It just underscores the need to prioritize your safety, even when your brain is struggling to make sense of it all.
Prioritize safety over politeness, over confusion.
Definitely. We turn now to stories where trust, or just the appearance of trust, gets twisted into something deeply predatory.
Okay.
These narratives explore the dark side of perceived safety within contexts we inherently trust, like healthcare systems, or the intimate space of personal care. Situations where the very foundation of care and compassion is used as a weapon against the vulnerable.
Exploiting that trust.
Exactly. Our first story here takes us into a family's deepest grief, a time of profound vulnerability, emotional exhaustion. The narrator was 17. Their grandfather, Paul, was slowly, painfully dying of brain cancer. It was, as the narrator put it, a brutal, drawn-out process.
Awful.
Paul's final months were a haze of medication, hospice care, and family grief. Paul, once this strong, larger-than-life figure, now bedridden, often lost in delirium, drifting in and out.
Heartbreaking.
The family decided to care for him at home, believed he should be surrounded by loved ones. Those last weeks were this heavy, suffocating mix of sadness, exhaustion, profound uncertainty.
And that setting immediately establishes extreme vulnerability.
Totally.
A family navigating grief, the slow decline of a loved one, the huge emotional and physical toll of constant caregiving. The home, normally a sanctuary, becomes this place of constant vigilance, where boundaries can soften under the weight of sheer exhaustion.
Yeah.
It creates an environment just ripe for exploitation, where trust is implicitly, almost automatically given to anyone entering in a professional capacity, especially hospice care. That implicit trust is then tragically weaponized.
So, one afternoon, about 2 weeks before Paul passed, the narrator was alone with their grandfather, waiting for the hospice nurse for the daily check-in.
Okay.
The room was suffocatingly still. The only sound, Paul's shallow, labored breathing, a constant, painful reminder, the air heavy with the scent of antiseptic and fading life.
A heavy atmosphere.
The narrator was trying to distract themselves, scrolling on their phone, actively avoiding staring too long at the ghost of the man who had once been so vibrant, the man they adored. Then, a sudden knock broke the quiet, startled the narrator. Weren't expecting anyone but the nurse. Maybe she was early.
Right.
Opened the door, found a man standing there, dressed in scrubs like medical staff, but with striking omissions.
Like what?
No clipboard, no medical equipment, nothing to indicate a professional visit. He had this thin, almost nervous smile.
Odd.
"Hi, I'm Dave," he said, his voice oddly flat, lacking warmth or professionalism. "I'm here for Paul." The narrator frowned, a prickle of unease already starting, asked if he was with the hospital. He nodded, claimed first shift, and then, with unsettling directness, said he'd reviewed Paul's file and wanted to talk to whoever has the legal authority to pull the plug.
Oh, pull the plug.
Yeah, that phrasing.
That is an immediate, massive red flag, a profound breach of the sacred trust tied to medical care.
Absolutely.
The lack of standard gear, plus that bizarre, cold phrasing, pull the plug. especially when Paul wasn't even on life support, it immediately shatters any assumption of legitimate medical intent. This isn't just an imposter. This is a predator disguised as care.
Yeah.
The medical setting, supposed safety, healing, compassion, completely inverted by this guy's sinister intentions right from the start, turning a sanctuary into a potential crime scene.
The narrator's heart skipped. Cold dread washed over them. Paul wasn't on life support. Pull the plug! Who talks like that?
Booty professional,
No
pretty
one-
decent.
The narrator stared at Dave, that prickling unease crawling up my spine. Explained Paul wasn't on life support, and they certainly didn't have that authority. Dave just shrugged, like it didn't matter, like their
Yes.
concerns were trivial.
Dismissive.
Totally. I just thought it'd be easier on you and the family if someone made that decision soon. Then chillingly added, old people can become such a burden, you know?
Oh, that's just evil. That casual tone, using manipulative language like burden, easier on you, it's a calculated psychological tactic.
How so?
He's trying to normalize an unthinkable act, make it sound compassionate, pragmatic, subtly trying to erode the narrator's moral resistance by appealing to the family's perceived suffering. It's a form of predatory grooming.
Grooming.
Yeah, where an abuser tests boundaries, tries to establish control through insidious suggestions, false empathy. His calm demeanor makes his intent even more chilling. It suggests a profound lack of moral compass, a terrifying detachment from the gravity of his proposal. It's the face of pure, calculated malevolence.
That casual tone discussing their grandfather's death felt like a slap. Dave then, without asking, stepped fully into the house, invading their space. Placed his hand on the narrator's shoulder, the way you might console someone after a tough game. Unnervingly familiar gesture. Started talking about letting go, how dragging things out would only make things harder for us all. Echoing dark thoughts a grieving family might have, using them against them.
Twisting their grief.
And with a slow, deliberate movement that felt terrifyingly significant, he pulled a small bottle of pills from his pocket.
Oh, God. There it is.
These are barbiturates, Dave said softly, twisting the cap. They'll make it peaceful, no pain, he assured, voice like a chilling lullaby. The coroner will just think the cancer took him.
Offering the means, the method, the cover-up. This is the undeniable, horrifying escalation point.
Yeah.
This isn't just suggestion anymore. It's providing the tools. The shock of confronting someone actively trying to commit murder, especially in your own home, with a vulnerable loved one right there, it's immense.
Unimaginable.
It triggers profound cognitive dissonance. The brain struggles to reconcile caregiver with attempted murderer. The psychological burden of recognizing that level of darkness in a supposed helper is devastating. It forces the narrator to confront an evil they probably never imagined could enter their own home, a complete inversion of trust where the person who should protect is seeking to harm.
The narrator felt their blood run cold. Nausea washed over them. This wasn't casual anymore. This man was offering to kill my grandfather right in front of me. The way he spoke, so calm, so certain, made their skin crawl.
What did they do?
No, the narrator blurted out, stepping back abruptly, instinctively creating distance. Paul didn't want that. He'd explicitly said he wanted to live unless the pain was unbearable, which it wasn't.
It stood up to him.
Dave's face darkened for a second. A flash of irritation broke his calm facade. I think you're making this harder than it needs to be, he said, voice now edged with subtle threat, and began moving toward Paul's bed, bottle still in hand.
Oh, no. He's going for it.
Panic surged, immediate, overwhelming. The narrator lunged, grabbed Dave's arm. Adrenaline gave them unexpected strength. Stop.
Okay.
Dave looked surprised for a moment, then quickly tried to play innocent, claimed he was just going to show Paul the pills that he had a right to know, but the narrator didn't buy it.
No way.
Shaking hands, fumbling fingers, they grabbed their phone, dialed 911. The moment Dave heard the dispatcher's calm voice echo from the phone,
He ran.
he bolted, turned, and ran out the door before I could blink, leaving behind this profound, creeping dread and an unsettling emptiness.
The narrator's quick action, calling 911 despite being terrified and shock, absolutely critical.
Yeah.
It shows that powerful adrenaline surge overriding the freeze response, pushing them to act in extreme duress. But the unsettling outcome of the legal process, where Dave was acquitted despite the testimony,
Just horrible.
it's a profound, deeply disturbing denial of justice. It highlights the challenge of prosecuting these insidious boundary-crossing crimes where intent can be hard to prove beyond reasonable doubt, especially when the perpetrator projects normalcy.
Like the part.
Exactly. This failure to validate the narrator's terrifying experience leaves a lasting feeling of injustice, dread, fails to provide closure, reinforces the trauma, underscores how easily our sense of safety and justice can shatter, even within supposedly protective systems.
Police and the real nurse eventually arrived hours later to a deeply shaken narrator. Dave was quickly ID'd as a former hospital orderly recently fired for misconduct, charged with criminal threat, a small measure of relief.
Something at least.
But at the trial, Dave, eerily, played the part of the concerned caregiver perfectly. Calm, plausible, acquitted.
Unbelievable.
Narrator never saw him again, but to this day, can't shake the feeling that if they hadn't been there that afternoon, my grandfather might have died in a way he never wanted. This story. The layers of betrayal, manipulation. Truly horrifying. Targeting someone so vulnerable, a family so fragile,
Certainly.
reveals the terrifying reality that some threats wear a mask of help, exploiting our deepest vulnerabilities. Moving to our next story. A different kind of exploitation. This time on the seemingly familiar, busy streets of East Hollywood, 2018.
Okay.
Our narrator, male project coordinator, under immense work pressure, started having chest pain.
Stress manifesting physically.
Yeah. Girlfriend called 911, ambulance to ER, hours of tests, discharged finally at 11:30 p.m., but crucially disoriented, dizzy, judgment significantly impaired from Ativan they gave him for anxiety.
The medication factor again. That's critical, not just a minor detail.
Why so critical?
The Ativan-induced disorientation plus the exhaustion creates extreme vulnerability. Ativan, a benzodiazepine, seriously impairs cognitive function, memory, judgment. In that compromised state, your ability to assess danger, process info, react effectively, severely diminished. And crucially, no phone, no wallet. He's completely cut off from support, from communication, amplifies his isolation, his vulnerability. It's a perfect storm for a predator.
He managed to call his girlfriend. She'd just gotten their son to sleep. Feeling guilty about burdening her, he said he'd take an Uber.
Trying to be considerate.
Yes, but standing outside the hospital, cold air hitting him, realization hits like a ton of bricks. Phone, wallet, everything back at the apartment.
Oh no, stranded.
Dazed, disoriented, no resources. Stumbles on a Sunset Boulevard, city lights spinning, dizzying blur from the meds. Apartment's only 1.5 miles away, short walk normally. Decides, against better judgment, he can just walk it. Convinced he can make it.
A risky decision in that state.
As he's trudging along the sidewalk, lights blurring, a small, beat-up hatchback slows beside him. Ignored it at first, too out of it, focused on just walking.
Right.
But then the driver spoke, muffled but distinct. Max, he said. Are you Max? I treated you at the hospital.
He knew his name.
Yeah. The sound of his own name, unexpected from a stranger, momentarily cut through the Ativan haze, stopped the narrator cold, turned, trying desperately to focus on the man's face through the spinning world.
What did he look like?
Looked small and frail, dressed in scrubs like medical staff. The narrator hesitated, flicker of doubt, but the driver leaned across, opened the passenger door, apparent helpfulness, said, I help you, you get in, I drive you home, it's okay.
The scrubs, knowing the name.
Yeah. Maybe it was the profound disorientation, the exhaustion, but against all better instincts, the narrator got in.
And that's textbook predatory deception, preying on the victim's compromised state.
Totally.
The assailant uses a fabricated connection hospital, knowing the name, to bypass critical thinking, gain trust, gain access. In a disoriented state, familiar context like hospital or doctor creates a powerful cognitive shortcut, overrides alarm bells.
Like a reflex.
It's a form of authority bias. We're more likely to comply with someone perceived to be in a position of care or power, and the driver being small, frail, might have added to a false sense of security, seemed less physically threatening, lowering the guard even further. Every element designed to disarm and exploit.
The second that car door shut, wave of cold regret washed over him. Ice water. Ativan haze started clearing, and with it, the brutal reality.
The car itself.
Repulsive, filthy, littered with empty prescription bottles, takeout containers, cigarette butts, pervasive smell of stale smoke, nauseating. This, narrator realized, heart-pounding, wasn't the car of a doctor.
Alarm bells finally ringing loud.
Heart-pounding, frantic drumbeat of terror. Drivers going slowly, much too slowly, deliberate, unnerving pace like he had all the time in the world. Streets mostly empty, but the quiet now felt wrong, ominous.
Well, right.
Mind clearing more and more, terrifying realization hits like a freight train. Trapped, stranger's car, middle of the night, no phone, no wallet, no help. Completely at this man's mercy.
The details of the car's interior, so different from what you'd expect. They shatter the illusion fast, induce that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
The slow driving, empty streets, narrator's awakening mind. create this suffocating, claustrophobic sense of entrapment. It powerfully highlights the importance of situational awareness and the profound danger of being compromised, unable to perceive or respond effectively. The sensory details reinforce the dawning horror. The smell, the sight, the slow pace, escalating entrapment.
He forced himself to stay calm, fighting rising panic, tried a casual tone, polite way out. Hey, I live just around the corner. Can you pull over? Need some air.
Did he stop?
Man didn't stop. Didn't even acknowledge him. Instead, reached over, placed his hand on the narrator's thigh.
No.
Grip too tight, too deliberate, not friendly. An assertion of control, smiled this grotesque smile that made narrator's skin crawl, then whispered low and chilling, "It's okay. You're here now. No one can help you. You help me now."
You help me now.
Oh.
That's sinister.
The words hung in the air like a death sentence, solidifying the terrifying reality.
That phrase, "you help me now," it's not a request. It's a veiled demand, a threat, indicating a sinister, predatory purpose beyond just a ride.
Yeah.
It's a statement of absolute control, clear intent to exploit, leaves the victim in no doubt about the power dynamic. And the physical violation, hand on the thigh, too tight, too deliberate, gross overstepping of boundaries, marks a definitive shift from psychological manipulation to direct physical threat. Sexual harassment, a moment where the victim's autonomy is completely stripped, reduced to an object of the perpetrator's desires.
In that instant, pure adrenaline surged, overriding the Ativan. Instinct, raw, primal, kicked in.
Fight or flight again.
Narrator grabbed the driver's wrist, twisted, threw his hand off his thigh, surprising strength. "I ain't a trick. Touch me again and I'll touch you back. Pull over now."
Asserting himself. Good.
Driver glanced at him, surprised, grotesque smile faltered, but didn't slow down. Panic surged again, frantic, desperate wave. Narrator reached for the door handle, ready to jump out onto the moving street. Locked. No matter how hard he pulled, wouldn't budge. Trapped. In that moment, something profoundly unsettling shifted in his consciousness.
What happened?
His vision blurred. Suddenly, inexplicably, felt like he wasn't in my body anymore. Floating above the car, observing from a strange, detached angle, out-of-body experience.
Dissociation.
Saw himself slumped in the passenger seat, eyes wide, blankly staring ahead. Silent, helpless observer in his own nightmare. The driver, his captor, one hand on the wheel, the other rifling through my pocket, searching for something. Sinister, invasive.
Oh, God.
Narrator wanted to scream, fight, make it stop, but couldn't move. Trapped in some nightmarish loop, watching it happen in slow motion. World outside, distant, muffled, like I was sinking deeper and deeper into some surreal, paralyzing darkness.
That profound experience of dissociation. It's a powerful, often misunderstood protective mechanism. The mind employs it during extreme stress or trauma.
Attacks how?
Allows the mind to detach from the immediate, overwhelming reality of the threat. Creates a psychological buffer. But while it offers temporary escape from unbearable terror, it significantly impacts memory encoding and retrieval.
Explains the confusion later.
Exactly. Explains the unsettling ambiguity the narrator describes, not knowing exactly what happened, the blurry details, the time distortion. That can be just as traumatizing as the event itself. The mind struggles to integrate fragmented memories, make sense of an experience that felt utterly unreal. The psychological scars from events where personal autonomy, reality itself are questioned. They're profound, lasting echoes of confusion, self-doubt.
And then, just as suddenly as it began, he snapped back to reality.
Where was he?
Harsh fluorescent lights of a gas station flooded my vision. Car was stopped, didn't hesitate, got out, stumbling, legs weak. Wandered aimlessly inside the convenience store, mind reeling, frantically searching for a phone.
Still disoriented.
Everything was a blur. He couldn't tell if it had been 15 minutes or 6 hours. Didn't know if anything had really happened or if I'd imagined it all. Terrifying uncertainty. As the sun began rising, painting the sky pale, cold, started piecing fragments together. Panic attack, kind ER doctor, woman at the gas station who helped call his girlfriend.
Okay.
But one crucial detail lingered. Terrifying thread tying disjointed memories together. I couldn't remember ever telling him where I lived, and he never asked.
He knew his name.
Yeah.
Knew he was from the hospital and somehow knew where he was going.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean, bringing these two stories together, the imposter and this ride?
Yeah.
They powerfully illustrate how trust can be weaponized, whether through calculated deception like the hospice imposter or exploiting extreme medical vulnerability in a compromised state. They peel back layers on how easily our sense of safety shatters and how deeply unsettling it is when the line between reality and hallucination blurs under extreme duress.
That lingering question.
Did it really happen? how much time passed. That's a common, agonizing hallmark of traumatic dissociation. Makes processing the event incredibly complex, prolonged.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it highlights the immense psychological scars left when personal autonomy, reality itself, are questioned. It raises a huge question for all of us. In moments of extreme vulnerability, when our cognitive faculties are compromised, our sense of reality warped, what internal mechanisms allow us to protect ourselves, or at least cope with profound trauma when we literally can't trust our own perceptions?
Yeah.
How do we rebuild our understanding of safety when the world, even our own minds, feel untrustworthy?
Deep questions.
We turn now to our final narrative. This brings the unsettling into a professional, intimately personal setting, a doctor's consultation room, where trust isn't just assumed, it's foundational to healing itself.
The core of the relationship.
This story reveals how insidious threats can be, meticulously crossing boundaries until they become outright violations, even in the most protected spaces. Our narrator, young, straight male doctor, urology clinic, public hospital, describes urology as inherently awkward, needing comfort with intimate topics.
It requires a certain professional detachment and trust.
So when this particular patient, mid-50s, slightly unkempt, made him feel uneasy right away, sizing me up with an unnerving gaze. The narrator initially dismissed it, blamed himself, attributed it to his own newness, projecting his nerves, figured patients come with all kinds of issues, his job is to help put their discomfort at ease, not focus on his own.
And this immediately sets up a complex dynamic. The professional trying to maintain objectivity, provide care, while the patient is already subtly yet systematically violating boundaries.
Yeah.
The doctor's self-doubt, blaming his discomfort on inexperience, very common response to insidious boundary violations. This cognitive bias makes it harder for professionals to recognize the real threat when it's not overt aggression. Allows the perpetrator to embed inappropriate behavior under guise of a standard interaction. It's a form of self-gaslighting, questioning your own gut.
The initial consult proceeded, outwardly routine, questions about erectile dysfunction, common for his age, then the necessary external genital, digital, rectal exams.
Standard procedure.
Patient seemed outwardly nervous, like many do, but the narrator detected an undercurrent of something strange in the way he speaks, like a hidden smirk. Subtle knowingness that made him uncomfortable, and crucially, his eyes never left me.
During the exam.
Even during the most intimate parts. Most patients look away, embarrassment, respect. Not him. Too comfortable, too focused on me. Gaze unwavering, almost predatory. That uneasy feeling, dismissed earlier, rushed back. But again, narrator pushed through. Professional duty. Prescribed meds, scheduled follow-up, hoped next time would be normal.
But this patient is systematically initiating a pattern of professional boundary violation right from the start.
Seems like it.
That intense, unwavering gaze during an intimate exam. Not normal, it's invasive. A nonverbal boundary probe establishes an unnerving power dynamic patient asserting control over the professional's comfort. The insidious progression from discomfort to overt harassment starts with these subtle, persistent violations, chipping away at the professional's sense of control, safety, making them question their own perception of appropriate versus red flag. It's testing the waters, seeing how much the doctor will tolerate.
2 weeks later, Mr. Evans returned for follow-up. Narrator immediately noted he seemed too eager.
Alarm bells already ringing.
Session begins. Almost immediately, Mr. Evans pulls his chair forward, practically shoves it up against mine, sits way too close, legs spread wide apart, posture invasive, blatant disregard for personal space.
Aggressively close.
His eyes on me again. Same unsettling feeling washes over narrator. Stronger this time. Impossible to ignore. This wasn't nerves, this was deliberate intrusion. "You know, doctor, I'm so glad you got my file today. I missed you," Mr. Evans began. Tone sent a distinct shiver down narrator's spine.
Inappropriate familiarity.
Narrator, trying to maintain professionalism despite growing unease, asked how he was, tried redirecting to his medical condition. Mr. Evans ignored the question completely, gaze unwavering, leaned even closer.
What did he say?
"I'm glad it's you because that other doctor, I think he's one of those gays and we don't like guys, do we, doctor?"
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
It's deeply calculated. An attempt to invert the power dynamic, establish this disturbing, inappropriate connection. The physical invasion of space, plus the immediate personal homophobic remarks, designed to make the doctor profoundly uncomfortable. Gauge his receptiveness to inappropriate topics, thrown off balance. It's deliberate gaslighting. Trying to make the doctor question his own reactions, normalize highly abnormal, offensive behavior, creating a false us versus them scenario. trying to manipulate the doctor into an implicit alliance based on shared prejudice, a deeply disturbing form of grooming.
And then it escalated further. Mr. Evans' hand suddenly lands on my leg.
Touched him.
Yeah. Contact, too familiar, too bold, clear, undeniable physical violation. Narrator froze for a second, then quickly moved the hand away, tried desperately redirecting back to medications, anything clinical.
How did Evans react?
Mr. Evans simply giggles. A profoundly unsettling sound from a grown man in a doctor's office. "Wouldn't you like to know?" he said, eyes lingering on the narrator in a way that felt exposed, violating. "I love how personal you get with me," he continued, leaning closer, oblivious or uncaring of narrator's obvious discomfort. "I even got a funny clip on my phone the other day that reminded me of us."
Reminding me of us. Oh, this is bad. The physical and digital violations escalating fast. Precisely. Hand on the leg. Overt sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Crossing a clear, inviolable line. The giggles, the how personal you get with me, part of the manipulation. Twisting a professional interaction into something sexual, intimate, mentioning a funny clip associated with us. The next deliberate step in this predatory grooming, strategic move to introduce highly inappropriate media, using technology to force a violating encounter, further assert control, chip away at boundaries.
Before the narrator could even respond, Evans pulled out his phone, scrolling eagerly. "Oh, this isn't the one, but it's funny too," he said, holding the phone inches from narrator's face, forcing him to look.
What was it?
Crude animated drawing. Palm tree morphs grotesquely into a penis, coconuts into testicles, leaves into pubic hair. He chuckles softly, eyes gleaming with excitement, fixed not on the screen but on the narrator's face, watching for a reaction.
Gauging his response.
Narrator, voice sharper now, firmer, tried again to end the appointment, professional composure crumbling. But Evans wasn't done. Insistent. "No, doctor, just one more clip. You were so friendly last time. I like you too." His hand, again, brushed narrator's arm as he scrolled further. Deliberate, unwelcome touch. Narrator's skin crawled, deep revulsion. Then Evans' eyes lit up.
Found the one he wanted.
"Ah, here it is. This one's hilarious. Reminds me so much of us," he said, grinning ear to ear, clearly deriving immense satisfaction from the doctor's discomfort. Shoved the phone even closer, practically pressing it into narrator's face.
This is the apex of the violation. The climax of the grooming. The patient isn't just sharing humor. He's intentionally forcing a deeply inappropriate, violating interaction. Just one more clip is deliberate coercion, pushing boundaries until it's outright sexual harassment, intimidation within a sacred professional space. It's a power play, designed to break the doctor's composure, assert dominance, show the patient, not the professional, controls the interaction. The choice of shocking personal content is key to this psychological warfare.
The video started. Naked man in a sterile white room. Narrator tense immediately, cold knot in his stomach. Then a door opened. In walked a massive guy in a doctor's coat.
Oh no.
"So you're the patient," fake doctor says. "Yes, doctor, lie down." Narrator's eyes glued to the screen, still desperately hoping for some bizarre punchline. But the scene took a much darker, sinister turn. The fake doctor began examining the naked man, touching him inappropriately, clearly not medical, disturbing sexual intent.
That's horrifying. Pornography, basically.
Tension in narrator's chest tightened, hands shaking uncontrollably. Chilling clarity descended. "Something is horribly wrong. This isn't a joke. This isn't funny." Tore his gaze from the screen, looked at Mr. Evans.
What was Evans doing?
His eyes weren't even on the phone. He was watching the narrator with that same eager, almost childlike expression, like he'd been waiting for this moment, for the reaction.
Predatory enjoyment.
"Mr. Evans, why would you think I'd want to see this?" narrator asked, voice shaky, betraying rising panic. "Just keep watching," Evans said, smile widening, truly grotesque. "It gets better." That's when the full, horrifying realization hit narrator with devastating force. He's not just showing me this to be funny. This is intentional. This is something else entirely. Targeted, deliberate, malicious.
The patient's clear intent here isn't humor or even just a bizarre fetish. It's control, humiliation, forcing a deeply inappropriate, violating interaction. The video is the tool of harassment, intimidation. And this moment is particularly devastating because it triggers re-traumatization for the narrator.
That's how.
A current, terrifying event connects directly with, reactivates past trauma. The initial self-doubt, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe it was just a pass, is a protective mechanism, cognitive avoidance, letting the mind cope with something overwhelming. But it also prevents immediately recognizing the severity, the unacceptable nature of what's happening. This insidious attack is damaging because it chips away at the victim's perception of reality, self-worth.
The narrator, galvanized by the horror, pushed Evan's hand away with disgust, stood up abruptly, heart pounding like a drum, barely got the words out, but managed to end the consultation, voice shaking, dismissed Evans, practically shoved him out.
Didn't wait for him to leave.
Didn't want to be in the same room another second, walked straight across the clinic to the other side of the hospital, didn't stop till he reached the helicopter landing pad on the roof, needed open air, escape, and that's when he lost it.
Broke down.
Mind racing, spinning with confusion, disgust, panic, started telling himself desperately, maybe I'm overreacting. Just because of my past, I was molested as a kid. But deep down, knew this wasn't normal. Stood there, body trembling, tears welling up, feeling like a little boy again, vulnerable and terrified. Carefully constructed adult defenses shattered, leaving him exposed. After what felt like forever, pulled himself together, forced himself to walk to the trauma unit, tried laughing it off like some dark, twisted joke he needed to share.
How did they react?
The doctors there don't laugh, he recounted, just stare at me horrified. Are you okay? They asked again and again, faces etched with genuine concern.
That validation.
That's when it truly hit him. External validation from colleagues, like a stark mirror reflecting the truth. What happened wasn't just weird or awkward, it was wrong, it was unacceptable, and I hadn't even realized it until I saw the looks on their faces. In their horror, he found affirmation his gut had screamed, his mind had tried to deny.
And that external validation from colleagues was absolutely crucial for his ability to process, eventually heal. Pulled him out of the self-doubt, the re-traumatization. Confirmed his feelings of violation weren't exaggerated or imagined. The incident was a systematic violation of professional boundaries, meticulously orchestrated by the patient, effectively turning a healing space into one of harassment, intimidation. This case tragically highlights how caregivers can become targets themselves, and how deep the psychological impact of such insidious aggression can be.
It's awful.
The patient exploited power dynamics, tried to gaslight the doctor, use homophobic remarks as intimidation, gauging receptiveness, all leading to profound violation and vulnerability.
Mr. Evans did come back to the clinic a few more times, tried continuing the pattern, but the narrator made sure never to take his file, never see him again.
Avoided him.
For a while, blocked the whole thing out, pushed it deep down. But recently, it all came flooding back. Evans' grotesque smile, invasive touch, eagerly showing that video, those chilling words, still makes his skin crawl, a persistent physical reaction.
Trauma resurfacing.
The narrator clarifies, he doesn't have a problem with homosexuality or gay porn. His discomfort was solely about the violation, stating, but it's okay for me to not want to look at it, especially when it's forced upon me like that.
Absolutely. Consent is key.
What happened crossed a line, a fundamental boundary. He's only now beginning to process it years later. This story truly underscores that terrifying reality. Sometimes the most insidious threats come from where we least expect them, meticulously crossing boundaries until they're outright violations. It also highlights the critical importance of recognizing, validating our own experiences of feeling unsafe, violated, even when our first instinct, maybe shaped by past trauma or society, is to doubt ourselves.
If we connect this to broader implications, it raises vital questions about safety, protection, and professional environments. Especially those involving intimate topics, power imbalances. How can institutions better protect their staff from this kind of targeted harassment, systematic boundary breaches? And what responsibility do we all have in recognizing, challenging these insidious violations, both for ourselves and for others who might be experiencing them?
It's a huge issue.
It challenges the comforting idea that professionals are immune just because of their role or authority. Reveals a pervasive vulnerability demanding greater awareness, robust protective measures. Underscores that trust, broken this way, leaves profound, lasting scars.
We've journeyed through some truly unsettling narratives today, haven't we?
We certainly have heavy stuff.
From the raw survival instinct escaping that abandoned hospital, confronting a dangerous squatter, to the bewildering, bizarre violation by a stranger outside a hospital late at night, where disorientation made things so much worse.
Yeah.
We explored the profound betrayal of an imposter attempting murder in a grieving home, chilling manipulation of trust at its most intimate. And finally, the insidious, systematic harassment in a trusted, professional medical setting, where safety and care were fundamentally inverted into tools of violation. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're stories that etch themselves into your memory, shake your perception of safety, the boundaries of human behavior.
What's truly fascinating, and maybe sobering, is that while the circumstances vary wildly isolated squat, public hospital entrance, private home, professional clinic.
Right.
Each narrative reminds us that safety is often an illusion, a fragile construct we build around ourselves. These deeply personal experiences reveal common threads. The unexpected nature of danger, its ability to emerge from mundane or trusted environments,
Yeah.
the profound psychological toll it takes, and the critical life-saving importance of trusting your intuition, setting firm boundaries even when fear makes it hard. And amidst the shock, the violation, the sheer human spirit's resilience, its remarkable capacity to survive, process profoundly disturbing events. Truly remarkable.
These deep dives, they aren't just about hearing scary stories. They're about gaining a deeper understanding of human behavior, right?
Exactly.
Of the subtle, often ignored cues of danger, of the incredible strength required to navigate the unexpected. They equip you, our listener, to be more aware, more informed, and perhaps just a little bit more prepared for the world's surprising, sometimes terrifying turns, for those moments when the ordinary just dissolves into the truly unsettling.
I feel more prepared.
So, as you go about your day, maybe with a heightened sense of awareness now, consider this. How do you discern that crucial, often subtle line between just an awkward social encounter and a genuine threat?
It's not always obvious.
And what hidden vulnerabilities might you be overlooking in the most seemingly ordinary places or interactions, where the illusion of safety can sometimes be the most dangerous deception of all?
Something to think about.
Join us next time for another deep dive into the fascinating, complex, and sometimes unsettling world around us.